Hi, my name's Neil Creswell. I run the Kickstarter Watches and Horology Microbrands group on Facebook. I think we've got about getting close to 7,000 members now. And I've recently been sent a watch by UNDONE. I got kind of interested in them fairly recently as they sponsored one of our giveaways where we had a little competition to give away an UNDONE Mystique, which was a chronograph, and the watch I have here is kind of a bit more interesting for me, so I'm really pleased they let me do this. This should be an UNDONE Aqua, so let's get the box open, because I'm sure that's, an unboxing. You don't want to be waiting for me to get stuck in here. So the Aqua is kind of interesting. It's not just, you pick a couple of different colors and you order, or a small amount of customization. You could actually take the customization to pretty much any level you want to. You can, this is what makes me so interested in it, you can actually get customized straps with your logos printed on them, full color. You can have anything you want printed on the dial and actually work with you to do that for a very reasonable price as a one-off. You don't have, it's not like you have to order like 300 or something. It could just be a single watch. So a ton of customization options, some unusual options from the standard color choices that you can pick for the case. For example, they have a cerakote case, which is basically a ceramic. So like everyone wants to have a ceramic bezel, which is pretty much as hard as sapphire. Then, in fact, sapphire glass is considered a ceramic. If you're into watch collecting, you'll know about that. So there's a lot of opportunity to have some unusual features and customize it pretty much any way you want. You can even put a full color picture on a glass case back. So this is a diver watch. A lot of options, carbon fiber on the dial. I just won't go through them all. You can probably take a look at the site. I asked them to send me an extra strap or two so I can see how they've customized it. I noticed this one isn't customized, so hopefully there's a customized one in the box. Else I'll have to do another review. So let's get this box open. Oh, nice. I just thought this was going to be a cardboard box with just some packing material, but this is their standard delivery packaging. I'm getting a nice case. That's actually a pretty good travel case. It's embossed UNDONE logo, probably PU leather rather than real leather, I would think. But it's nice. I haven't actually had one of this style before. Do I pull it to open it? Flip it up? It's okay. It's like a puzzle box. Well, let's see. This is you can tell this is a live review, and I try not to cut them and edit them. There we go. So it pulls open. So it's definitely a travel case. Nice. I've actually got, looks like 3 straps in total. So let's get in, take a look. It's a pretty hard case on the sides. They're stiff. Not so stiff here. It's a bit more than cardboard, perhaps some plastic material, but it's padded. So it's fairly, so yes, it's plastic. So it's plastic with a little bit of padding on the outside, and then you've got a very rigid, can't compress it at all, but a soft skin PU leather. So it's pretty well protected. So the design of this watch, I let a friend of mine design it. To be honest, because I have my own ideas, but I would have done. If I'd have done it, I'd have done all the weird stuff just so we could look at it all and it wouldn't look like a real watch. So, interesting. So I have my logo, which they embossed onto a strap. Well, not embossed, they actually full color printed it. I know it's not the kind of thing you'd want to have on a strap, but I just wanted them to do that as an example. So this logo I have is my corporate logo for my main business. Funny enough, the name's Time Apps, but it's a software business to do with time recording software. Hence my interest in all things horological, I guess. So the fact that you can get this on a strap, imagine it's like a corporate gift or something, or your sports team, or whatever you come up with, send them the graphic, they'll print it. Actually, it's pretty nicely done. I'm impressed with the quality of the printing. I thought it was going to be a little bit cheaper, to be honest, given that I've never seen a full color print on the strap. There's no texture to it. It looks really well applied. I don't think it's going to be coming off anytime soon. So I can actually see the grain of the leather through that. So yeah, I think they've done a great job. The fact that you can do that on a strap is a first for me. I know that you can do embossing like your logo or something on the leather. This is just a genuine leather strap as opposed to full grain, but it's really flexible, which is nice. So the fact that you can do that with a nice fat buckle, which they've obviously got a sign buckle, that's always undone. Yeah, and a nice solid tang. This is a pretty decent strap. It feels solid. It doesn't look like it's going to fall apart. Not bad. And I had them pick the color of this strap, so they picked one to go with my logo, I guess. So the watch itself, let's take a look at that. And I'll give you the specs later because they're kind of hard to find on the site. Yeah, very interesting. So it's got some protective material on the back, so I'll get that off. Always nice to see. I asked for the exhibition case pack. You can get a solid one. You can have some custom stuff printed there, or on the glass you can actually have a full-size logo. And I actually thought about having my corporate logo on the back, but because this is going to end up in, because it's a custom one, I can't really return it. So it's going to end up, you know, in someone else's hands. I thought, you know, let's just leave that open. So I like people to see the movement as much as possible. But, you know, corporate gift, you can really do that. I'll share some pictures of some of the things you can do with the watch faces. This is actually much nicer than I thought it was going to be. I feel horrible saying that. Just my expectations weren't low, because UNDONE have some really nice watches. I love the Mystique. But at the same time, when you do custom printing, I often wonder if it's like, you know, the quality of that isn't so good. But let's get this protective covering off. So, but this watch, it feels really sturdy. Very nice case. I love the angle of the protection for the crown here. It's not, you know, the way it's done is a little bit different to normal. Nicely polished pretty much everywhere, which is nice. I like sometimes a mix of polishing and brushing, but brushing, if it's not done right, can be pretty bad. And you've got many choices on the bezel. You can do a ceramic bezel, a cerakote bezel, which is it's a proprietary ceramic. You can do like an old-fashioned vintage K1 glass bezel, and you can do the normal 0 to 60 minutes. This is a 12-hour function, so not quite a GMT, but I kind of like this because you could still use this to count 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes very easily. But if you're in a different time zone, or it just really helps to see at a glance. You can just, it's still unidirectional, but you know, let's say if I move this around to here, I could use this to tell the time in a different time zone. So the feel of this is really good. There's no back play. Once it's gone past a point, that's it. But you can push back just very slightly, but it's not really back play. It's what I would expect. It's not too loose, so it won't turn accidentally, but it's not too tight, so it's not going to hurt my fingers. I have a couple of watches with some very almost sharp kind of decoration, I guess, as part of the feature of the watch, you know, but or a coin edge, which is hard to grip. This is perfect. It's a bit wider than a coin edge or a milled edge, but there's no sharp teeth on it. It's flat. So I actually think they did a pretty good job with that. I picked a sunburst dial because I wanted to see what their sunbursts are like, and I don't know if you can see that this is indoor lighting. It has an anti-reflective coating, but of course that's blue, and this is a blue sunburst. I'm actually really liking the sunburst. I have another sunburst blue diver just to compare. I'll just put this down for a second and go and get that. So this one is my favorite sunburst blue that I actually own, which is a different brand, but it's a little bit dirty. Sorry, I was actually wearing it earlier today. But pretty comparable, actually. And this is one of the best sunburst blues I've ever encountered. This one's typically got 3 or 4 radiating spokes, looks a little metallic. This one, it's a lighter color blue. It's really nice. I actually kind of regret doing this watch for somebody else now. I think it will be one I should have got to keep myself. It's that good. So you can see I customized it. I got a name printed on here, just something very simple, didn't want to overdo it. So it says Undone at the bottom. The branding is right at the bottom where you typically get something like Swiss made or something like that. So that's nice because I hate it when the branding kind of takes over the watch. So it's actually something pretty impressive. The default strap here, I guess that's the one they picked to go with the watch. It goes pretty well with a bezel. Yeah, it's flexible, slightly firm, not too loose, but it's thick. It looks like it's like 5 millimeters. In fact, let's start getting some of these measurements in for you, and I can talk about the movement and price next, but let's get measurements out of the way, and we'll test the glass too while we're at it. So this is 4.4 millimeter thick strap. Not bad. Let's do the height including the glass. There's a very slight dome on the glass. Oh, and there's also a cyclops on it too for the date. And talking about customization options, you can, I mean, it's just ridiculous the things you can go through, like the shape of the indices, the colors, whether it's sunburst, even the different loom options. What do you want to have loomed? This should all be a blue loom on both the bezel and the dial. And I'll get a night shot included. And the date, no date, have a date with a black background or a dark background, have a date with a white background, you know, kind of things that you don't normally get to pick. You normally just get to pick a color, but, you know, and then you pick what kind of numbering you want on the bezel, what material for the bezel. It goes on. I mean, the case, obviously you can do colors like black, but they've got all kinds of like camouflage covers. The cerakote I mentioned is used particularly on guns, you know, as a modern form of protection. It's really robust and strong, so the fact that you can do that is great. I wish they had that in black. They have black PVD, but, you know, they have a ton of colors on there, and it just goes on and on. And you can get a cerakote bezel as well. So I think this is a pretty sweet watch. So let's get back into the measurements. Okay, so we have 17 millimeters roughly on the height. I think that was supposed to be 16, but I can see I'm above the height of the metalwork, and that's probably what I'm seeing here. 16.8. It's probably just there's a very slight dome to this. I can feel the dome. You know, so you could call it 16, but I think it's probably closer to 17, including the dome. They say the width excluding the crown. By the way, that's a very nice nut crown. Many different types of crown, but it looks kind of neat. Anyway, they say it's 45. I think it's more like 43 from checking other people's reviews, because I did that first to try and learn a bit more about this. Let's measure it if we can using a different part. And that's 43.5. So, yeah, you know, overall, the thinnest part's 43.5, and I'll believe them at 45, excluding the crown. So it's roughly, you know, 44 millimeters average. So it's a little bit larger than your typical 42 millimeters, which is why I think it still works well with it. Should be a 22 millimeter lug width here for your straps. Yep, a 22, and I could measure the lug-to-lug length. I'm left-handed. These things are designed for right-handed people. If you're going to read this upside down, it should be, I think, 52 millimeters roughly from the center point. 49.5. I like to do to the center of the pins, or where the holes are, pretty much, because that's more useful. 49.5. So, you know, it's a little. You know, it's going to wear like a 44, I think, because if you did like a 42 millimeter watch, typically it'd be like 48 to 50 millimeter lug width. So you're in the right ballpark. So I'm going to try that on in a minute. I'm dying to see what that's like. A couple more tests. Let's get the see if it truly is sapphire glass. Not that I doubt them, but you know, somebody's got to test that for you, right? So let's give this a few seconds to warm up. There we are, we're warm. Oh, not quite there. So I'll put this down for a second and we'll let it warm up. Should be just take a few more seconds. So overall, pretty impressed with this. Let's talk about the movement. Oh, it's ready. Jumping around, let's just finish getting the testing done here. If this lights up a few bars, it will be sapphire glass. If it doesn't light up at all, it's something else. Oh, nice. Typically I get 3 or 4 bars for sapphire glass, and that's 4.5. Yep, so it's sapphire glass for sure. Excellent. Wouldn't have expected anything else. These guys actually have a very interesting history. I believe their founders pretty well known for doing originally for doing Rolex servicing and repairs and customizations on Rolexes. So, and they're about 20 strong. So it's not a startup, micro brand that's just doing its first watch. They've been around a little while, but still they're very small, and you have the opportunity to take advantage and get some custom watches that are, pretty much do it the way you want, put whatever you want on the dial, and a lot of options to pick from. One thing I noticed about the straps just now, I should neglected to mention, they've got quick release straps. That's nice. So the standard straps are quick release. So is my branded strap quick release, and the third one I received is also quick release. If you're going to get straps from them, they're quick release. I actually picked this blue color. Let's see how well this would go. I could do the quick release now, but you get the idea. Yeah, so I think the new owner of this watch is going to be rather happy. Let's see what else you get in the package before we carry on. Talk about movement. You've got a date of purchase. Okay, I guess it's month, day, year. That's pretty much it. No serial number, but then you're going to have your receipt and everything else. The Aqua Owner's Manual, which is a very thin sheet of paper. Pretty much how you set it and wind it, but it's going to be a standard movement, which is, I didn't get into that, an NH35, which is a Seiko movement. And as far as movements go, it's ultra reliable. It's up there with the Myotas, Myoto 8, Myoto 9. In fact, some people prefer it even to some entry-level Swiss movements. ETA's the kind of granddaddy movement you would typically get from the Swiss ones, but there's some newer ones like Solita, which are based off the ETA, I guess. But they're not proven over a period of years. But so I think. Obviously, I'm not trying to compare this to a Swiss movement, but it's an ultra reliable movement. So that's the main thing. It hacks, it hand winds, so we'll get into that. It's a low beat movement, so pros and cons. Low beat means that it's going to tick about, it's going to tick 6 times per second. In fact, it's already started moving on its own. I haven't wound it yet, so it picks up pretty nicely. So you can probably see the movement there. So 6 times per second. As opposed to a high beat movement, the entry level Swiss ones I mentioned, or the Myoto 9. The Myoto 8 is actually a low beat too, and so that they're a little bit smoother at 8 times per second. But it's smooth enough, and there's an advantage to this, which is disadvantage, not quite as smooth as a Swiss one. Big advantage here is that because it's beating less, it's going to go longer between services pretty much. The higher the beat, the more moving parts, the more times it moves per second, the sooner things are going to wear out and need servicing. So I'm unscrewing the crown. It is a screw down crown. Let's talk about water resistance. Winding it first of all. It really looks like a nut. I kind of like this. Winds very smoothly. So let's try some stop positions. It popped out nicely, so I didn't have an issue with that. So first stop position, we picked a dark background for the date. Maybe in retrospect should have picked a light one. It's a little bit hard to read, but then I'm looking through the camera lens here, so let's see. It's 6 o'clock, so I never set the clock when it's between 10 and 2. 13... 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 31. So yeah, 7. Yeah, it moves. It's moving fine for the date. Let's make it hack. Yep, see it hacks. Hands move well. So what we picked here, we kind of picked it together. It should be a BG9 Swiss Superluminova Lume, which should glow blue, which would be really nice because it's got a blue sunburst in the day and glow blue at night. And also we picked BGW9 Lume for the bezel. Sorry, my mind was blank there. So works pretty smoothly. Really happy with the quality of the build. I haven't seen any issues. Normally there's 1 or 2 things to complain about. As with any of the reviews that I do, I point out what's bad as well as good. As far as aesthetics go, you know, the watch itself is really decent. Not at all unhappy with it. If you don't like the style, that you should have designed something else. Pretty much that's on you, I think. But there are there's no perfect watch out there, and we're trying to represent buyers' interests in our group rather than sellers or brands. So let's see if this is what wouldn't I like about this. Well, let's talk about the price. I think that's an interesting point. If I was to get an entry-level NH35, NH35A is the one with the date. I mean, not necessarily with customizations, of course, but just like real basic one. If I shopped around and got the best pricing on Kickstarter, super early bird, and it was a really well-priced campaign. Some of them are not so well-priced, some of them are quite expensive, or maybe I found a really good pre-order. If I was really lucky, I'd be around about $200. These watches that are fully customized, more typical pricing is closer to $500. So, but we're not really comparing apples to apples if we're doing that, because if you look at retail pricing for watches when they're no longer on pre-order, this is not a Kickstarter campaign watch, it's a retail watch. $500 is not unreasonable. It's a little bit on the high end though, so that will be my point. But you know, let's face it, why is it the high end? How's it built? They're not mass produced like 300 all produced exactly the same with the same colors in a factory in China. It's somebody's like, oh, I got to get this, not just assembling different parts. They might have to have a dial printed, custom, one-off. They have to spend time working with you on that. This dial has stuff printed on it. Maybe they've taken some standard dials and done some very nice 3D printing on it, but I suspect they printed the entire dial at the same time because it's really sharp. So they're producing it for you. Obviously there's a few standard components, but given the extremely wide range of combinations you can come up with, including whatever you want to do printing on the back, it's being built for you as a one-off. So that's much more labor intensive, and I think that's the real cost here, the labor, not so much the movement. So would I expect to pay a premium for that? Yes, I would. Would I pay $500? Maybe. If I was wanting to get something really customized, this will be the thing I will go for. If I was just trying to get a stock watch, maybe I can pick some colors, but then there are other choices out there too. So pretty much, I think if you're going to look at an UNDONE watch, like an Aqua to be customized, that's what it's all about. It's all about the customization. That is what I would really recommend this for. Great reliable watch. I don't think you'll have any issues with the movement. I think they can sometimes, not that you want to wait that long, but you can. I've heard that some of with this movement can go like 10 years between services. So there's no marks, there's no dirt. It's really well done. They've even carried this bolt theme through to the back of the case here, the screw down crown. Oh, water resistance, hadn't covered that. So it's pretty much what you expect with a screw down crown. You're going to get at least 100 meters water resistance. So, but what I've actually, according to the spec, if it's got a glass case back, it's 200 meters. And if it's a solid case back, which is an option, then you can go 300 meters. So that's, That's really decent. A lot of these watches are only 100 meters, which is fine for swimming, skin diving even. If it wasn't a screw down crown, it would only be 50 meters. So, you know, it's a dive watch. You could actually go diving with it, you know, either 200 meters or 300 meters. Now, I wouldn't actually go to 200 meters because typically testing on these watches isn't necessarily to ISO standards, but it's still going to be more than enough for your typical water sports recreation. And if you want to do professional level deep diving, you would probably want to get a different professional watch for that. So I think that pretty much covers it, but if you have any questions, do let me know. Let's see if there's anything else I can think about that would be interesting. I think obviously we'll include links to the website, but go take a look and just have a play at customizing a watch. It's amazing the different combinations you can come up with. If you are thinking of customizing it and have some graphics, you don't have to do all that work yourself. They're very responsible. And oh yeah, here we are. One other thing I never covered, which is definitely worth it in my book, and this is one of the reasons I've been impressed with UNDONE. So not too long ago in our group, we had somebody who'd ordered a watch, not this one, a different one from UNDONE, had an issue not long after getting it, so he sent it in for repair, service, you know, those things sometimes happen. And he got it back really quickly, within a week or so. So first of all, that's pretty awesome. Most of the brands, even the big Swiss ones, they spend 2 or 3 months fixing a watch or whatever the issue is. However, the watch he got back wasn't his watch, so that was a pretty bad mistake. So he wrote about it on the forum. One of the UNDONE folks is a member of our group, and pretty much picked up on that immediately and said, "Oh, we're sorry. We'll get you your watch back. In fact, we'll send you a new one with the exact same spec. And why didn't you keep the one you've got?" I mean, that's just really good customer service. Obviously, it was in a group context, and you know, public relations was probably a concern. But I really don't know of any other watch company that just didn't require any effort. Just basically said, you know, "Oh, I'm sorry if we made a mistake. Yeah, that's on us. Keep that watch, and we'll send you a new one." So, I mean, you couldn't really ask for more. I mean, that's just stellar customer service. And I've been talking to these guys now for a few weeks to a month, because I was interested in doing this review. I think they're a little bit nervous because sometimes I can pan a watch. And obviously I'm going to speak my mind about anything, whether it's, you know, price, quality, or whatever. And excuse my language, I've had a couple of shitters in the past, and I've definitely made sure to mention that. But this one, it's really decent. It's, you know, it's a nice dive watch that you can customize any way you want. And, you know, I think I probably wouldn't wear this strap. I just really wanted them to do that for me. But you know, you can pretty much take this as far as you want, and I really don't know other places you can do that unless you do a minimum order to actually get a whole large quantity done. So really nice timepiece, and yep, I'm glad that I actually got a chance to review it. Thanks for watching. Take care.